What dirty little secret do you know about someone, but they don't know you know? My neighbor is having an affair. She and her husband leave for work every morning, and she comes back with another dude around lunchtime about twice a week. I don't think she knows I work from home, and realizes how big their picture windows really are. Update, plus Ninjagram Reddit, RIP my inbox and all that. This blew up way past anything I imagined, and I've gotten hundreds of responses. The majority of you are suggesting I tell the husband in some anonymous way, although there is a significant minority with good reasons to mind my own business. I do not know them at all. They don't have kids. And for all I know the guy has a cuckold fetish, and he knows what's happening. I'm interested in the situation, because of how divisive it is, and as a morality/ethics problem to consider. A colleague of mine is an attractive young woman in her mid-20s and wants everyone to think that she's just a strong independent career woman. But I know she plays Magic: The Gathering online during her lunch breaks. I ducking know your secret. I know of a case of a failed attempt at an incestuous relationship. A man had sex with who both he and she thought was his daughter. She was in her early 20s, and he was around 40 or so. He saw her very rarely, and the mom wanted nothing to do with him. Didn't want child support. Nearly no contact. After she turned 18 she looked him up, and they had a creepy bond. Neither really knew each other, but it was dad and daughter, so they tried to make it work. A few years later they ended up getting hit-faced drunk and having a go at each other. Apparently also happened a few more times sober. They ended up both deciding it was too weird, and I don't think they speak now, but I haven't heard from either in several years. Turned out when the girl was around 12 the mom made him take a paternity test to settle an argument. It came back he wasn't the father. But mom lied and said the test was positive. She never told the daughter and the man believed he was. So while they did have a creepy father/daughter XL relationship, and will always have that in their memory, they weren't actually related. The mother confided in me about the paternity issue. The father had confided in me about the incest relationship he had with his estranged daughter. TL. Doctor, I know a girl who did not have sex with her father. My friend's mother is a stuck-up, judgmental, holier than thou, preachy itch, and she has no idea that if she ever takes it too far with me, I will nuke her and tell her family, community, and church about the bastard son she had as a teen that she refused to acknowledge when he found her. An individual I know is very anti-porn. Speaks out against it on Facebook. Stops talking to people if she finds out they watch it. The whole works. Doesn't stop her from watching it with her back conveniently turned to the wall. She's also not as discreet as she thinks. My brother started the fire in our backyard that destroyed half the property and my dad's whole shed full of tools. The fire was centered around the very spot my brother had been sneaking out back at night to smoke. And he would always put the cigs out on the dry pile of logs stacked right next to him. I saw him out there every night cause my window pointed to the backyard. And I was planning to use the information for leverage to get him to take me to GameStop on Halo 2 launch night. But after the fire I kept my mouth shut. I could tell he felt guilty enough about it, since he spent the whole week after helping my dad clean up the damage and repair what they could. I still got Halo 2 at midnight. So it had a happy ending. Had a friend middle school who legitimately had a crush on SpongeBob SquarePants. She let me use her computer a couple of times and I snooped through her hit and found her stash of self-insert SpongeBob fanfiction. Found a couple of NSFW drawings as well. I couldn't really judge. I've had my fair share of animated crushes. But it was still a bizarre experience. My dad took my mom to an intimate French restaurant one year about an hour from home on a Tuesday night, since it was their anniversary. In walks a married coworker with the coworker's, not my dad's, secretary. The guy didn't see my dad, but my dad was pissed. My dad would use this as a lesson to us kids. He'd tell us that you never know who sees you doing something wrong, so be honest, ethical and decent. When I was in first grade, my friend's brother in 4th grade wanted us to tie him up and embarrass him. We thought it was funny and played along. It was nothing XL for us. But I remember his boner and wondering how it just stood up like that. But other than that, I didn't think much of that incident. Sometime during HS, I remembered all of a sudden and had a holy hit moment. Now we are older and we are friends. He probably thinks that I completely forgot about that incident, or maybe he forgot himself, because there's no way he could act so naturally towards me otherwise. If I tell him now, he would just die of embarrassment. My aunt had a baby boy when she was a teen. To this day, my grandparents are not aware of their first grandson's existence and still believe I'm their first grandchild. The only other person she told was her sister, my mom. I only know because my mom told me. I know that one of my friends is cheating on her husbands with at least 5 other guys. One of them is her husband's best friend. She does it for attention and to see if she is still attractive. She's 23. I know a dirty little secret about myself that my mother doesn't know I know. When I was born, I was given up to a religious services group, but less than a month later, my mother, with the help of my grandparents, hired a lawyer and filed papers to get me back. It took a few months. My uncle, her older brother, told me this a few months ago, and I haven't brought it up with her. I don't know if I ever will. I'm not sore about it. In fact, it just goes to show that I was wanted. Even if I was an accident, the people from the service came to my mother when she was still doped up on painkillers the day of my birth. Apparently this was a common practice in the 80s and earlier. I know one of my co-workers once had a kid who died in a fire. She was really depressed and had said she'd had to repair fire damage on her house. Quick internet search revealed the tragedy. I'll never tell anyone. Don't think anyone else knows. A colleague of mine is a convicted rapist. It is an office setting, so there are lots of women around who might feel uncomfortable around him. Bowers knew about the rap either in his employment application or in the background check, but decided not to tell the hiring manager and blessed the hiring. A couple of folks did a search online later, only to discover there was a hit ton of coverage in the local news about the events that led to drugging and raping a young woman. If you are enjoying the video, please give a thumbs up and leave a comment. My older sister is my mother. A second cousin is my father. She gave me to her parents, who legitimately adopted me and raised me. BTW. They're awesome parents. But no one felt the need to tell me who my biological parents are. I need to edit. A second cousin of hers, not a second cousin of mine, is my father. My 16-year goody two-shoes sister got caught having X in the car twice. At midnight I got a call from a cop asking if I was her mother. Sensing something was up, I said yes. He loudly told me, "We found your daughter having X with a boy in a car." Shocked, irritated, but laughing at her misfortune, I drove 20 minutes to pick her ass up. I pulled up to the parking lot of an apartment complex and saw 3 police cars. Lights still on. Not how it goes on in our neighborhood on a Saturday night. Her boyfriend sat on the curb talking to one of 3 cops, but still waved when he saw me pull up. Cute. A very serious cop with eyebrow way too plucked brought my crying sister to the car. It was clear I wasn't her mom, since I'm just a few years older, but my cunning small talk convinced him to let me take her home instead of calling our mom again. On the way back she was all too grateful for protecting her from my mother's unforgiving wrath. She doesn't know 6 months later and confessed that they'd been caught elsewhere last weekend. In conclusion, I'm the slickest coolest sister you could have, and she is forever my itch. Not really a dirty secret, but I walked into a person's house and heard them and their spouse getting it on in their bedroom across the house really loudly. I quietly backed out and closed the door and left. This is someone who'd asked me to do some work for them, and I've been in their house many times, and they'd told me to come on in and work on it, and I thought they knew I was going to be there soon. I knocked and called out their name, but their lovemaking was louder than my announcement. I think I'll bring it up at their funeral, because they are a bit older than me, and their kids would get a good laugh about it. I know that my old school teacher used to take bribes from parents to raise their children's grades. My old boss had 8 abortions, all fathered by her long-term boyfriend who has been wanting kids for years, but believes he is infertile. Found my cousin on a porn blog. Around 2000/2001, my roommate at the time used to take pictures of him and his girlfriend ducking and store them in his desk. This was way before everyone had phones or digital cameras. She's a very proper girl and has always dressed conservatively and gave off a vibe of being sort of quiet and boring. They have been married for about 12 years now with 2 kids and is very much the super mom who's on the PTA, kids soccer league board of directors, teaches Sunday school, etc. The pictures were of her wearing a ball gag and him ducking her in the ass, while others of her with a huge black beep in her mouth and a butt plug in. Lots of facials too. My friend would be shocked if he knew I saw these, and his wife would probably have a heart attack.
We make the streams louder.